So some new developments in the Hunter Biden case, so to speak, in the emails. As usual, as we've said here from the beginning, the way that the media has covered this is in many ways almost as important as the story itself, maybe even more important, just in the way that they are beclowning themselves. The Hunter emails, as we'll show you, and some text messages and more have revealed coloring in the lines of his obvious and total corruption. But check this out. Our friend Aaron Monte flagged this from the Washington Post in an op-ed from a so-called security expert. He says the words, "We must treat the Hunter Biden leaks as if they were a foreign intelligence operation, even if they are probably not." So let's think about that. Even if they are probably not, it must be treated as such. And where does he get this from? So do you remember our friend Daniel Goldman? He was the Democratic attorney, the prosecuting one during the impeachment scandal.
Okay, yes.
So this is what he tweets. "Someone needs to explain to Donald Trump Jr. how Russian disinformation works, since he clearly did not learn his lesson from June 2016. The laptop itself is not disinformation. It is part of a Russian disinformation campaign that has been going on for years." So wait a second. If the Hunter Ukraine story is supposedly Russian disinformation, then proof of some of that on Ukraine, and along with China, is part of the camp. I really want to know, how does this all work, folks? And what you can see is that at the end of the day, everything becomes Russian disinformation as a way of political weaponization to discredit any story which makes Democrats look bad. I think that's basically it.
And this will be a phenomenon familiar to many of you on social media. Anytime you tweet anything that is remotely critical of the Democratic Party, you immediately get tarred as like, oh, how many rubles did you get paid to say that? Where's your Kremlin handler? They let you on. I mean, that's exactly. Yeah. They use this to dismiss anything potentially inconvenient. And look, what does it look like for a serious news outlet to actually treat the story in a serious way? We have more information, partly from Ben Smith of the New York Times, about the way the Wall Street Journal handled this. They saw the emails. They looked into it. They ultimately wrote a big story about it and said, look, here's what's an issue. And we did the research and we reviewed the records and the corporate records, et cetera. And we don't see that Joe Biden had anything really to do with these things. But was Hunter trading on the Biden name? Like, yes, absolutely, 100%.
And we do see that Joe Biden did not receive any cash. Not that he didn't meet with this guy.
Yeah.
Not that, and
that's
again,
the other thing where the media gets this turned around is they act like because there wasn't any proven cash exchange to Joe Biden that the story doesn't matter.
Yes.
That family members surrounding you or friends or associates or whatever cashing in on your name isn't a story or isn't relevant. Of course it is. Of course it absolutely is. On the other hand, like we've said, in terms of a political matter, like, first of all, we should be clear, neither one of us believes that this is going to swing the election whatsoever. And I think the Trump people are really deluding themselves on this thing. I said this earlier, I say it again. Like, they think this is a WikiLeaks type bombshell when really what it is more like Access Hollywood, where they think it's a big deal. But really, the American people are like, this is irrelevant to my life, ultimately. And this particularly is not helped by the fact that the New York Post, when they first put this out, the emails that were relevant in terms of, Biden and Hunter and corruption and all of that, they put it out along with these salacious photos of Hunter not looking too great and, using drugs. Now, this Chinese billionaire who backs Steve Bannon, his digital Chinese news site has put out a supposed Hunter sex tape. Like, if you want these allegations to actually be treated seriously, none of that crap is helpful to you ultimately.
No, I completely agree with that. And you can also see in the way the media and other them are handling this is that they're setting it up to whitewash. But it makes it worse because, number one, they have actually dramatically increased interest in the story.
Yes.
They've, like the Streisand effect, from trying to block it, they've made it so that everybody is like, hey, what are they talking about exactly? I agree. It's not going to swing anything. It's probably a lot more like Access Hollywood than it is like WikiLeaks, but it's the treatment around it. I mean, think back to the Access Hollywood and how it was wall to wall, every cable, Washington Post, front page, New York Times, will Trump resign? Republicans disavowing here. Here, they're just like, nope, nothing to see here whatsoever. It's pure Russian disinformation. Biden lies about it on the debate stage. Moderator lets him get away with it. Harris and them are asked about it. Gretchen Whitmer was on Fox News Sunday and asked about it. She goes, oh, he sat. She had the gall to say he sat for interviews on this and has said there's nothing there.
Right.
If he sat for it, I'd be happy to play whatever that interview is here.
Yeah.
Haven't seen it yet.
And then on the other, you see like Trump in the debate last week trying to make something of this. And this is another emblem of how his campaign has gotten way too online.
Yeah.
And Jane Coaston, who we've had on the show from Vox, she wrote, and she makes a great point about this. Like, a lot of the language that comes out of his campaign is very hard to follow if you're not like up to date on the latest drop from Breitbart News. And that was incredibly obvious at the debate where he referred to, you know, Joe Biden as, what is the big guy or something like that. Guy. No one would know what reference you're making unless you're deep in the weeds on it. There were other things that I was like, what is that? What deal is he even talking about here? Throwing out all kinds of accusations that I couldn't follow. So not only did they approach this in a crazy and shady way and made it certain that it would not land with the American people, and then the news media is complicit in covering up everything for Joe Biden. So there you go. It ends up being just all a giant mess all the way around, basically. Certainly. All right, more Rising for you after this.